Hey, how you doing? Chris Courtney here, New Pragmatic. We're in the pre-show for the feedback loop. I hope you're doing well where you are. We got a couple of people in here this morning. Charlie and Eve are in with some work for review. Charlie's going crazy with the animations. Just crazy with the animations. We'll talk about that in a minute. One of the interesting things about a pandemic, while we're waiting on Couchpot to fire, one of the crazy things about a pandemic is it really spurs an opportunity to see how the world is going to innovate its way out of an issue. And the story crossed a lot. Oh, and you know what? This happens all the time. Had Illustrator open? Don't do that. Just whenever possible, don't open Illustrator. I think that's a good rule of thumb. Don't open Illustrator. Don't open any Adobe products really, if you can at all help it. But sometimes you have to. So I get it. One day I'll tell you the story of being in Istanbul and just completely bashing on Adobe while I was talking about at that point in time. It was 2015, so I was talking about Sketch and talking about how superior Sketch was. And there was literally somebody from Adobe in the middle of the front row. They were laughing because they knew what I was telling this crowd, and nobody in the crowd had heard of Sketch. They knew what I was telling the crowd was dead on. Like, Adobe is bloated, and they charge way too much for their products. And the guy was like, "Yeah, we've got to make better products." He completely owned it. So kudos to that guy. I can't remember his name. He's overseas rep. But he saw the truth in what I was talking about. And I will say that I think Adobe products have improved overall. They've done a good thing with Typekit and things like that. But at the same time, every time I start Illustrator, crap just doesn't work. My machine locks up. So I'm hoping this live stream is catching up as we move forward. But what I was talking about just a second ago, because we're waiting for Couchbot to fire, is there's a company here in Chicago that is trying to address the issue of how do restaurants basically reinvent their space so that they can have, like, I don't know, people come to them safely. And what they've come up with are these individual stylized pods that you basically drop in the parking lot of a restaurant. And each of them has, like, their own door. Some of them have their own heating or air conditioning units, which means that they are something you could use during the spring or during the winter or summer. And I thought it was really innovative to see, like, somebody's really beginning to think about, okay, what do we do beyond just a table in the parking lot? And what it is, it's individualized rooms where essentially the businesses are just going to be like a kitchen, and from that kitchen food is served. Obviously there's a lot of questions about, well, can't you still get COVID from somebody in the kitchen? And the answer is yes, of course you can. And to be completely honest with you, the only way to really avoid that is to not go out at all, which is maybe the best option. But I like seeing some innovation occurring where people are saying, you know what, we're not just gonna sit and accept this. We're gonna try to come up with something to make it better. And that's what I see here. I see somebody attempting to make the situation better for all involved. So kudos, I applaud it, I like it. We'll see what comes of it. But Couchbot's fired, so let's get this underway. Greetings, one and all. Chris Courtney here, New Pragmatic. It is so good to be back. It's middle of the week here for the feedback loop. I guess it's middle of the week wherever you happen to be as well. But we've got Charlie and we got Eve in here. And we're basically, everybody that submitted work today is in that portfolio mode. Okay, if you're further down the pipe, like Charlie, you are literally in the I'm going to tweak the code and see what I can come up with. If you're where Eve's at, Eve is in the process of creating her content, and I think it's very important to recognize that you have to have content before you can have a site. And that's why Eve is putting in so much work on her content, so that when she gets to the site, she can focus on the design. And that's the way we run projects here. We focus on the content. Actually, I should back up. We focus on the user, like who are we building this for? Then we focus on the content that's going to reach that user, and then we focus on the design. So this idea that you're just going to jump in and just start kind of noodling around, that's not what we do here. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen so we can get started. And let's go. Oh, yeah, here's the just a minute ago in the pre-show, I was talking about the pods that there's a Chicago company that is dropping pods in front of restaurants. There's actually a picture of it up here. Yeah, these sorts of pods are getting dropped. This is actually in the Fulton Market District, or Randolph Street here in Chicago. You can see 4 of these pods have been dropped off in the front of the restaurant. It's interesting. It's an interesting concept. This is how a lot of these restaurants that are, a lot of restaurants are surviving with outdoor dining right now. But what happens when what happens when there's 18 inches of snow, or when it's raining, or when it's 100 degrees? Like, what do you do then? These pods appear to be the first attempt at fixing the issue. Anyway, like I said, innovation, I like it. Is it the answer? I don't know, but it's nice to see some movement. From there, let's move over and talk to Charlie. All right, and I think it's important because we got to reload this so that Charlie's animation loads in. The 2 axes movement, I don't know. I like coming in. I think that's fine. Coming in from the back and then coming forward, meh. But I think it's an animation, Charlie. It's fine. I do see that this appears to be adjusted up here. The links to the page, and also looks like we've got a little bit of animation coming into play here on Design Read. So again, top nav is fixed. We talked about that over the last couple of days. We've got, now what we've got is we've got decent style. We've got grid structure. Although what's interesting is, like, the grid structure, the grid gap here is wider than the gap that's here. I would think that these would be closer together, and there might be a little more space here in the middle. But maybe that is a yeah, so the grid gap is proportional. I'm just kind of curious. Yeah, you've got a width on it, but I think it's the length of that view case study button that is just stretching out there. That's being a bit of an issue. Yeah. And I think I might actually also, now that I'm down here in this mobile view, I might give it a little more space to the top and bottom. Because right now it's pretty tight, although it's even, but it still feels pretty tight. I like the fact that you simplified it down to 2 screens. That's nice. Yeah, I think on mobile I would just give it a little bit more to the top and bottom. Yep. Alright, so let's come back out. Because Charlie was really focused in on this information. And, as I look at it, there's something about the reach out, all spaced out. I don't know, like, let's take a second. Let's take a second look at this. Like, if I just got rid of that reach out, let's just delete it. think it's cleaner. I think it's cleaner if you just get rid of it and just end it. It's a footer. People know what those icons are. At least they know what the LinkedIn and Instagram icon are. Although, you know, what's funny is because of the way these are drawn, I could see wanting to come back instead of with an outlined Octocat and an outlined Instagram. I'd want to come back with a solid with a circle in the middle and a solid to the outside with the Octocat on the inside because LinkedIn is filled in. The stylization of each of these, LinkedIn is different from the other three, and I think LinkedIn shows up better than the other three, so I would prefer at that size to just go with a single element that doesn't have all the line work rather than flipping LinkedIn around to where it's outlined. All right, that's one minor thing. The next thing I want to look at here is I want to just kind of look at the. It's got padding on it. Okay, that's fine. Let's kick the padding up just a little bit. Now that's getting squeezed on. Okay, so it was getting squeezed for a second, like down here. But let's, obviously I've made something angry here as well because, I bet the footer, I bet the padding, maybe it's padding to the bottom, maybe not. Yeah, I definitely didn't like that footer content. That's interesting. It's interesting that the padding to the bottom would be fine here at 2, but not at 3. No, it's not fine at 2. It's a little off the bottom. Okay, so let's talk about what's going on here. Align self-center. Okay, height. Okay, so I would stay away from height and width. Of course, then you've got a question of, well, how do I control my size? Let's look at this margin top. Okay, that explains why that's there. Trying to figure out, position. Let's talk about. No, not bottom. No. No. Oh, sorry. I'm messing up my syntax here. Position. No, that's not what I'm looking for. So I'm trying to find the positioning to make this properly align itself at the bottom, and there's got to be something. Okay, so display flex is kicking in here. All right, so and then there's margin, flex direction, column. There's something with this F image, and I'd like that F image to like set on the bottom, but there's got to be a way to do that I simply am forgetting. If we change that to 30, that's fine. It gives you a little more space. I would like a little more space down here, to be honest with you. But now we've got that. Now we've got that weird little. It's kind of interesting. Well, I definitely want to get rid of that reach out. The reach out is not helping. So let's get rid of that. Why is it being so fussy? What did I do? It's like I broke the website. Inspect element. Let's put this to the bottom. Get rid of that. Okay, now footer. Okay. So if we get rid of this padding 10 here, that helps. Then we've got footer content, we've got padding there, but if we just switch this around and said, hey, you know what, instead of padding, we're just going to say padding top, and then we're going to say 4. And again, I want space away. Oh, wait. Is there a height on this? Now that I'm kind of seeing the background move, like it feels like there's a height, there's a assigned height on this somewhere. Yeah, it feels like there's got to be a height that's coming into play here that I'm not seeing. Where is it at, Charlie? Yeah, that's your logo. Don't really. The logo doesn't bother me. It's got to be. Nope, it's not in there. That's interesting. The auto. Why would? Is that necessary? I don't see it doing anything. Yeah, that's fine. Okay. Background. Align content. It's not doing anything either. So I'm not sure where that's coming in at, Charlie. Like I don't see anything about this that screams there's some sort of magical space underneath it. Unless there's a size on the page, and I don't see that either. Yeah, this is something where we need to simplify it, but we need to find that extra space that's now rooted in the bottom of the design. We don't need that there. Once we do that, everything else will sort itself out. But it's just interesting that it's not following with the container, the display flex. I'm just going to turn all of these off to see if I can get something to react for me, and none of that. Okay, well that's interesting. Okay, well the background for that shape is still display block, border. Yeah, well, okay, so is there a margin bottom? Padding bottom. That's interesting. So like there's no shape on this. There's nothing to the bottom to be found, and yet it's oh, interesting. Wait. No, I mean that's not it. there's something here. It's like the body is stopping short. Something very interesting happening with your body tag, but I don't spot what it is. Something squirrely in here. I need to pull this apart a little bit. But I don't, it's so entrancing. I don't want to let it go. Now I'm back to where I was before, where I just start turning everything off so I can look around at things. But again, there's nothing here, and it's minimal here. So, Charlie, here's what I want to do. I want to get these icons solid. I want to get rid of this reach out, and then I really want to consider. I want to consider coming through and pulling the styles apart until I can figure out what that little line is, because I don't see a stroke. I don't see any sort of, when you go to the layout rules, I don't see anything down here saying, hey, this thing is X size. I do see a very specific height here, but even when I adjust that, it doesn't change anything. It just makes that taller. So it's interesting, and I can't for the life of me figure out why. Yeah, that's just the padding around it. Yeah, I made the size of it larger, but it's still got that little line around it. It's driving me batty, just batty. Now the only thing I can think of is that, let's see, and you've got normalize in there. So my thought was maybe there was something about, maybe you were missing a reset that would, maybe like we've only got the lines at the bottom of the page, but you've got the reset in there. So let's focus first on getting that out of there, changing these icons up, and then we can come back and look at that, and maybe I'll dig in a little bit more offline to try to sort out what's going on there. But as it stands right now, I don't see it, and it's not egregious, but it's also not ideal. So I'm gonna leave it there. Let's move over to Eve. Man, I hate those things. I hate it when something like is setting there, and I can't see it. It's like, what is the thing that's causing this problem? I don't know yet, but I'm going to take a look. So Eve is Eve setting here. Also, by the way, Charlie, oftentimes what I'll do is I'll copy that code. I'll go over to CodePen and sandbox it there, and it could be something that's being picked up from another style somewhere on the page that you're reusing inside of this, and it just needs to be separated away from that. Could be, might be, probably not, but yeah, I'm gonna leave that there for right now because I want to focus on Eve. All right, so Eve is in round 2 of her about page. She's writing this. Last time we talked to Eve, it was about layering. Can we layer in the UX terminology so that her about page is painting a more effective picture between interior design and UX design, and basically through using verbiage. Okay, so the second paragraph here was something we were focused on. Making people happy through architecture and interior design has been my jam for the past decade. Now I'm undertaking a journey to diversify my skill set and spread cheer through spread cheer through user experience and interface design rather than spread cheer in user experience and interface design. So Yeah, through instead of in. That's the only difference. So now let's get to the meat of this. This was where we wanted to make the majority of our adjustments. Imagine a couple comes in with a vision of their dream home, or for their dream home. They're a major stakeholder. I would say they're the major stakeholder, who's been they're the major they're the major stakeholder, and they've been planning this for a while. After scouring countless design blogs and home magazines for inspiration, um, they've decided, or they're ready. A white marble countertop. They're ready to talk. A white marble countertop for their kitchen island is a must. They love the look. It fits perfectly with fits their vision of a clean modern kitchen. Great. We just need to pick a white marble for their approval, and done. Right. I would go new paragraph like that. Well, as we talk to the couple, we find that they have a tight budget. They have a tight budget. We find they have a tight budget, 2 young kids, and the kitchen will be the main gathering area for their active family. So you've already said have. They have a tight budget, comma, 2 young kids, comma, and so get rid of that second have. Marble is not only out of their price range, but also at odds with their lifestyle. So I would say their choice of marble is not only out of their price range, but also at odds with their lifestyle. Coffee, soda, tomato juice, and anything acidic can leave marks on marble. All right, so that minor adjustment. Quartz is the solution then. I might say that could quartz be a solution then? Quartz is the solution then doesn't really introduce it as a question, more of a statement. And you've got a question mark there, so I would say, could quartz be a solution then? It has the look of white marble. Research reveals that it's stain resistant, low maintenance, and fits their budget. But despite seeing how alike quartz and marble are, the couple still wants marble. It's their dream home. Surely the cons don't outweigh the pros. Live testing to show what happens when wine is spilled on marble and quartz could convince the couple, or identifying areas where the cost could be scaled down to affordable marble. Let's see. I might say live testing could be I would say perhaps live testing could be effective. We could I could show what happens when wine is spilled on marble versus quartz, and try to convince the couple that way. Or we could identify other areas where the cost could be scaled down to afford the marble. Ultimately, we have you're using ultimately later, so so I could use perhaps I could use live testing to show the couple perhaps I could use live testing to convince the couple by period. I could show them what happens when you spill a wine on marble and quartz, or I could, or if they still want it marble, we could then look at other areas to scale down the budget so that it would fit, so that they can have the marble. There's more than one way to discover the best solution. Ultimately, it's trivial whether the couple picks white marble quartz or a completely different product. What's important is investigating the possibilities, presenting the best options to the client, presenting the best options to this client. I wouldn't say for the couple at that point. I would just say presenting the best options to my client so that they can make informed decisions and be confident in with their decision, or be confident in their decision. Like there's just a little bit of massaging, not much though. TLDR, in architecture, interior design, UX, and UI, solving design problems is not usually straightforward. Design is a messy process. I've said that somewhere before. I lean on clear communication, teamwork, empathy, and a willingness to explore different solutions with all involved to help projects succeed. When everybody's happy, it's time to celebrate, bust out the champagne, and eat cake. So I do think that there's still a bit of work to do, and we've kind of pointed out a few areas where that is. I do think that there's the transition to say, hey, we're done, and then you get into the next paragraph rather than packing that all up in the same thing. I think that is would be helpful. But overall, I think I really believe that this is close enough now that outside of these minor adjustments, I would really shift my attention now to the homepage, because the homepage, this about page, you've got the gist of it, okay, and that's the really important thing, Eve, is that before you go into design any of these content pages, you have the gist of the story that you're trying to sell. You have a very clear vision. This is not something I've read on somebody else's portfolio page, so it's not like you just kind of copy pasted somebody else's thing. And then you've got a number of images down here to work with. I think you've got a lot of visual detail to wrap up in this about page. I would make the minor adjustments to the text, move forward, because we've got in very quick succession, we've got the homepage, we've got the case study template, and then we've got the stylization of the portfolio as a whole. It could be a big week ahead of you. You're midweek now, or is it midweek, or is it late in the week? Gosh, it flies by. It seemed like when I started this call that it was Wednesday, but now it feels like it's Thursday. Did an entire day pass while we were doing this? Possibly. That's what happens when you go looking for the little white box at the bottom of the footer. That's what happens. Okay. That's going to do it for this edition of the Feedback Loop. I hope that you find all the little weird white lines at the bottom of your footer as well. I'm going to check back in with all of you. I'll see some of you a little later today. For everyone else, I hope to see you right back here again tomorrow for another edition of the Feedback Loop. I'm Chris Courtney for New Pragmatic. Thanks for watching.